Hey everyone, it's Desiree, and I am here once again for Simon Says. We are in DieCember month, which is awesome, and I'm going to create something using this outline cluster leaves. This is a nice size die. I mean, you could see it fit the length of my hand. It is bigger than a standard A2 size card front, which is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So again, this is an outline, but this die is actually from point to point about 6 1/2 inches long, and it's exactly 4 inches wide at the base there. So again, it does give you an outline, but that doesn't mean that limits you. So to start off, I'm going to create my background. So of course, I grabbed a background stamp, and this is called You Matter. So this is a background that's a nice size font. It's not too small, but it just has some wonderful, encouraging words that basically mean you matter, you're special. So the ink that I'm using is Fog. I love Fog. Mainly for my colored pencils, but I do like it because it is a very, very soft background. Now, why did I choose this background? Well, one, because I absolutely love it, and two, this is actually a second release that Simon Says is having, and it is called You Are Loved. So, again, it is part of DieCember, but I just was so inspired by that phrase, you are loved. That's awesome to know every day that there is somebody that does love you in some way. So, okay, back to the card. A little sentimental moment there. Okay. So, as you can see, the die is huge. I played around with some different colors, but you know, I wanted to keep it soft, but give it a statement. And I wanted as much of this vine to go around this card as possible. So I chose, my background is ivory, again with the fog. So then I wanted to pull in some white. So this is just some white Nina. And I'm going to use my Nuvo adhesive to glue this down onto the back panel. Now, when I did stamp that background, I did stamp it a couple times. So my fog is a little bit darker than normal. But know that when you stamp this, it will dry back. It will go light. It's very pale when it will dry, and which is what I was exactly looking for. So once I have it glued down, I grabbed one of my acrylic blocks just to give it some weight until it dried. And I dug into my stash. Now, if we remember one of the kits that Simon Says came out, I'm not sure if it was this year or last year, but it was called Brushstroke Messages. And it just had that sentiment, you are loved. And that's the sentiment that I had to have for this card. So I was determined to find that. I used some Gina K white pigment. I do like to use a white pigment ink when I'm going to use my white embossing powder. It just helps me get a good impression. I think it's just me, but I do think it does that. So I always do that in layers. So I'm going to cut around this. I'm going to create my own tag instead of trying to find a die. I'm sure I have a die that would cut a tag this small, but honestly, I don't think I could get to them right now. So it's been a fun-filled weekend. So I'm just going to trim some edges. When I trim off the one corner, I'm going to flip it, put it onto the other side so that I can trim that side as well so that they will be even. And voila, we have a very simple tag. You can see I used my cutter bee scissors a lot to cut the tag out, but when it came to the long sides, the long edge, I did use my long shears. That will help you get a straight cut. So then this way you can do it in one cut and not constantly move the scissors. Again, using my glue, I just want to put that on some deep maroon cardstock. I didn't want a red. I wanted like a wine color, if that makes sense. I'm going to trim around this just a little bit, just to give that hint of color around my sentiment. Now, did you have to add a sentiment to this card? Absolutely not. Only because the background, I think, pretty much says it all. But even if you didn't have that background, you don't have to put a sentiment on the outside of your card. You can put it on the inside. You can decorate the inside. You can leave it blank and just simply have a note card where you grab it just to write a note. So don't think the norm is to always put a sentiment. You don't have to. These are your creations. Make them what you would want to be and let them represent you. Let them be unique. So I grabbed some silver thread. Again, that's going to go with the white that I've pulled in, and I'm going to attempt a bow. So we did edit that because it takes me forever to tie bows. Yes, it does. I'm going to grab a foam square, just put that on the back of the tag so that it will stay still. And I'm going to use my liquid adhesive to put it on my standard A2 size card base, which of course is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And this is a top folding card. I will be trimming off those leaves that do come off the edge once my panel is set. I want them to continue off of the panel. So right up to the edge of the card, they're going to go. And that's okay. Again, that shows movement. It shows a flow onto the card. So I do like that. I do go back and glue down those edges that were cut right up to the edge so that they stay adhered to the card. I've pulled out some pretty pink posh gems. These are ivory, and I thought these were perfect because they have that iridescent look. So it does pull in the white and the silver as well that I have on this card. And I just want to use the different sizes right at the base of some of the leaves. This will help while that die does stand out on this card, even though it doesn't look it. The video just does not do this justice. Adding those gems kind of helps that to be lifted up off the card. You could cut this multiple times and make it a thicker die cut so that you would have dimension on it. So as always, here are the close-ups of the card that we made today. I hope you did enjoy it. And remember, this entire month is DieCember for Simon Says Stamp. So, of course, they have some wonderful products there. So make sure you check it out. I will make sure that the links are all down below. And, of course, to all of the products that I used in this video for them as well. So if you wanted to check them out, you would be able to. If you have any questions or comments, please leave those down below and I will get back to you as soon as I can. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Don't forget to like and subscribe. You don't want to miss all the wonderful videos that are coming out. At least I hope they're wonderful. But I do try to give some tips and tricks along the way. I hope everyone, as I said, is having a wonderful day. But always remember what's most important. Always and every day, be creative.